Jay from Team DMA coming at you with another video. This video is going to be regarding this new $80 budget that I made. So I've been seeing some channels and it's kind of nostalgic and funny to watch some of these channels that they've never played like Yu-Gi-Oh! And like I've mentioned before, a lot of people know this because it's a fact. A lot of people are coming into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like they've heard of it, but they never played it ever in their life. They have no clue what the cards do or nothing. And TCG is too complicated because you're ranked up against like nationals, regionals, people who have undefeated records, like stuff like that. So they have 6, 8, 10 negations or more, and they're intimidated. They don't want to play. And usually when people are new, they usually go by the well, I just started, and they get intimidated. They feel a little frightened because of the game, and then they're in the right. They're right about that. They're right about that because people can be cruel. I mean, when's the last time you threw a duel? When's the last time you threw a duel on purpose that you let your opponent win? Because I do that sometimes. Like when I see my opponent is new, like if I ask them like, hey, are you new? And they say, yeah, I'm new though. So what I do is I purposely lose. Like I get rid of all my negations, my monsters, traps. I destroy myself, and I let my opponent win because I want them to get that boost in confidence. And yeah, I don't want to bully people. It's not right. Now everybody can do what they want, but just me personally. So I built this deck. If you're new to Dark Magician, like you've never played Yu-Gi-Oh before, and you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh and you would like to play a Dark Magician deck, this is a good starting point. This is also a deck that can be easily made. It's about $80 or less cash. Uh, if you believe like, oh no, this deck's 120 because it's valued more around 110, something like that. I sell decks. I'm gonna be selling cheap decks like $80 decks complete like this one on DC's shop. I'm gonna be posting some over there. So it's under Jules 12. So I'm gonna be, if you have questions or concerns about any of that, let me know. But the two shops that I have, I'm gonna be closing them up, and I'm gonna be posting stuff over there for DC, and I'm gonna still be selling local here in the city. But online, I'm gonna be moving some of the product over there, and this is what you're gonna be able to see. Some of these hyper budget decks for like $80 or less, but they're really worth like 120 or a little bit more. But they're really really good. So I've been testing it and I've won a lot. All my budget deck duels against all the budget, I've been winning them. Obviously, tier 1, tier 0 is different because it's a budget deck. But as far as everything else, it gets the job done. So you got here 2 Dark Magician. They basically don't do anything, but they're the heart and soul of the deck. Without the Dark Magician, the whole deck's dead. And then you have at the United Dragon. So I'm going to be looking for some of these cheap so I can sell to the public because right now they're averaging somewhere around $10 and they're as high as 15 and they're being sold at that price. So I'm going to be looking for some cheap ones to keep for the community to help you guys out. And then after that, you have Magician of Dark Illusion. He's basically Dark Magician. When you activate a spell and trap in your opponent's turn, he gets to come on the field. Then when any spell and trap is played, you get to bring a Dark Magician from the graveyard onto the field. And let's read this effect right here. You can read it right there. If you want to stop the video and read it. There you go. So now Dark Magicians, this ones, they're like a few cents each. You can get for $1. They're 50 cents. You can get 2. This one's like 5. This one's like probably less than $1. You can get 3 for $1. And then here, this one you can substitute it for Baldrake, 2 Baldrake, and it's pretty. They're pretty good. You're pretty good for these ones. I got them for $1 each because I was smart and I got them when they were a budget, so they fit in my budget because $1 is a budget. And then the Princess Illusion, they were $1 each. I think right now they're like $2 each. That's still budget. Dark Magician Girl. And before I skip on, the Baldrakes, what they're going to be doing is just removing a spell of Dark from Graveyard. It's an extension of a dragon, and you can link or fusion into it or use it however you want. There's 25 hitters. They can interrupt attacks and all that. And these ones, when you discard a card, you can get Dark Magician from deck to your hand. And they also boost all your spellcasters by 2,000 during damage calculations. That's pretty broken. And then you have 3 rods getting a spell or a trap from your deck and to your hand, and that's pretty much it. And then the spellbook engine, a lot of people hate it, but you don't even have to summon it. If you have the right cards, you can play it from your hand. And then if you happen to play, like you're playing online, you can play 2 Illusion and Chaos. If you have it in your hand, you can just throw it back into the deck. And then here you have Jester. So Jester's an extender, and also he can go onto this guy right here. Relinquish Anima and Absorb. But you mainly just do it for an extender, or if you want to go into the more buffier, stronger Link monsters. That's why he's there. And this is a budget, so most of these cards are $1 or less. Dark Magic Attack, when you have a Dark Magician in the field, blow up all spells and traps on your opponent's side of the field. Spellbook Engine, all it's just doing, you play it and it draws the other one and you just draw a bunch of cards. And then Fusion Deployment. Fusion Deployment is here because we're not playing Magician Souls. So Magician Souls, it's expensive. It was very cheap, it was $15 per copy, but a lot of people didn't want to get them when they were cheap. So yeah, so this one is what it does is you select from your extra deck material that it says on there, you reveal it, and then just special summon it from the deck onto the field just like that. And I think it locks you on their fusions after that. Yep. So it's kind of like a branded style. And then you have two spellbook. This one's for more drawing. If you have spellcaster, you just send it to the graveyard, you draw more. If you have the spell prophecy in your hand, you can just play it from your hand, and you get two of them. Why two? Because you don't want to play a lot of the servants, which are coming up because they're a little bit expensive. Because the spellbook, most of these cards I gave away for free. Somebody just bought a deck a few days ago, and a bunch of these cards I gave them for free. They're somewhere valued around $15 to $20, but I mean, it doesn't matter to me, right? So I just give them away, a lot of these cards. And then you have Foolish Burial Goods. You can send a spell trap from your deck to the graveyard, and the card you're going to be sending is Navigation. So when you have a Dark Magician in the field, if your opponent activates, except the turn that it was sent, so you have to send it, and then can you activate it the next turn. If you have a Dark Magician on the board, so this one or this one, and they activate a spell or trap, you can chain the Navigation in the graveyard, and it'll negate it. So it's pretty good. It's a Omni Negate for spell and trap, so it's pretty broken as long as you have Dark Magician, but the deck will be summoning Dark Magician to the field. Now it does have we're going to be getting into the Navigation in a bit. You have Upstart, you just draw a card, your opponent gains 1,000 life points. This one's Soul Servant. Anything that says Dark Magician, you can stack it on the top if you have a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl or both, depending on the number, but you can have more than one, like only one Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. There is other monsters, but we're not going to include them because they're not in the deck. We don't want to go into a fantasy world. Either one Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. It doesn't matter if you have a million Dark Magician or a million Dark Magician Girl. It's just one of each. If you either have one or the two, that's the amount that you draw. So that's your pot of greed. You're playing two of them. They're usually like $8. And then you have Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave, any hand trap that you have issues by, or any monster that just has recurring effect that coming back, you just get rid of it. And then Twin Twisters, there's a lot of broken decks right now playing a lot of back row, so you want to get rid of all that. Except Tearlaments, be careful with them, because when you pop them, all it does is it chains in the graveyard and they draw more cards. People don't tell you that. Super Poly, a lot of people, a lot of famous YouTuber, I think everybody loses to this card. It's pretty broken. Discard a card, and then you can enter your fusions. There's a lot of selections. We're going to be looking into those in a bit. And you just use all the material from your opponent. It's funny. You can use your field or their field, but everybody's using the opponent's field. And there's no Garura here because it's the budget. Garura, I can't include it because I paid $5 for mine. Nobody else wanted to do it. In fact, I'm going to include it because I was smart and I got mine for $5. But if you weren't smart, you're paying somewhere around $20 for it. Secrets of Dark Magic. If you have a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl, you can fusion. You don't need to have them both as long as you have one, because the requirements is another spellcaster or anything else like a Dark in a Dark. You just have to look at what the fusions say or the requirements. But usually you can only make it with the Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, so that's the way it goes. And then this one, Magician Restaged. You can bring any spellcaster from the graveyard onto the field. And I have a combo that I'm going to be showing up in the future, not right now, but it's going to be pretty cool. And yeah, you can, any level 3 lore, you can bring it back. You can go into Crawly with a Rod, and this is so cool. So you normal summon Rod, they're going to negate you with Ash Blossom. You're going to link to Artemis the Moon Maiden, and then you're going to trigger Magician Restays, bring the Rod back out, and then you're going to leak into Crawly. And Crawly Spellbook Engine activated, change Rod to your deck. So broken. And people are probably wondering, like, well, if you don't have a target to send it to the graveyard, I can include the Magician Souls, at least one, because I was smart and I bought one for 15. But for you guys, probably not. So the way you're gonna do it is either use it or use Twin Twister to pop it, or you can use it as this discard material for Apprentice, Illusion, or Super Poly, which is excellent because you're using it and then no chain in the graveyard. Like, there's something your opponent can do. Even if they negate something, it'll still resolve in the graveyard. Magician's Right Hand, that your opponent's first spell is negated. People are playing Village. I was going to include Village, but I didn't include it after all. So there's a big old fireworks going on. But yeah, then after that, people love to play 2 circle. I mean, if you're gonna play it in an actual card, like in real life, yeah, you would have to play 2 because they always banish 1. But online, you can always manage one way or another. They don't banish it as much because what they're banishing is the Eternal. But on the real world, when you go to your locals, they seem to love to banish the circle. It's funny. So you're gonna want to but online one is fine. This yeah, and this one all it does is it lets you see the top 3 cards of your deck. If there's any Dark Magician cards that say Dark Magician in it, in this text, you can get one to your hand. Also, when a Dark Magician special summon at any point, it can banish a card in the field. So that's pretty cool. And then here you have Magician's Salvation. You activate it. All it does is it lets you search. It's a terraforming for Eternal Soul. That's what it's doing. And then it has a secondary effect. If you ever special summon a Dark Magician and have Dark Magician Girl, it'll bring that one for free. Or vice versa. If you have a Dark Magician Girl and you special summon her, it'll bring the Dark Magician. It's kind of like a couple thing, like a relationship, like boyfriend, girlfriend. They always want them to be together. And then Magician's Navigation. If you have Dark Magician in your hand at any point, you can trigger this trap. We finally got back to it. You can special summon. You can read it here. 1 level 7 or lower dark monster, if you read it there. Special summon 1 Dark Magician, and then 1 level 1 or lower from your deck onto the field. And then, like I told you, you can read the text here. If it's in the graveyard and you have a Dark Magician, and you set the last turn, like it can't be the same turn, it can Omni negate spell, so it can come in clutch. Yeah, and the combo, like I said, Foolish Burial Goods is an excellent combo. And then you have Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. This card alone can murk almost everything. You can murk Dark Magician. As long as the deck exists, you can murk it. How do I know? I've been using it. It's broken. It's the same card as Mystic Mine, just in a trap form. And people are going to argue, say, no, because Mystic Mine didn't let any of the effects resolve. Yeah, because this one says level 6 or higher, so level 5 and under can still trigger their effects. But I mean, you combine it with Skill Drain, and it's pretty much Mystic Mine. People are going to argue and say, oh, well, sometimes you only have it. If you want to cry and complain, then cry and complain. This is just a deck that works. I already tested. I'm going to show you some of those after this video. Not in this video, but on the follow-up. So, yeah, and then the combo that you do with this one is, I invented this combo with Scareclaw, but Scareclaw is too expensive. But this one's for the budget. It works just fine. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. So it doesn't affect links. So what you do is you summon 3. It's easy on this deck. And then you go into him, and when you go into him, the effects activate. He can attack. He dodges the, what's it called? He dodges the Grave Organism. He dodges it, and it'll be able to attack. Like it won't have any control on it. It's not locked under the lock, only your opponent, unless they can also go into a link. But you have a lot of back row stuff to stop all that, to pop their cards or banish them or negate them. It's so cool. So my special combo on the AC 130, the normal version, because there's a budget version as well, but it's the normal version. That one has Scareclaw, and it's so broken. Your opponent, all of his monsters go with defense, and then none of them can trigger Scareclaw with effects. That's so cool, the monsters. And then this card's activated, and you're just killing all your opponent's cards. It's so funny. If you have a spellcaster in like Village or spellcaster in the right hand, or even a spellcaster like a Dark Magician and Navigation, they're not going to go through it because you have multiple ways of negating spells and traps. It's hilarious. With the right hand, the spells and the navigation spells and traps. There can only be one. This card was the one that I introduced 3-4 years ago to the Yu-Gi-Oh world, and everyone took it from me. But I was the one who originally started it, and you can only play one type. Yes, it's a one type. So the only deck it doesn't stop is Branded. There's a few other ones, but it does kind of stop it because they're only allowed to play 3 different types is what I've seen. So you can block one and banish the other one to circle your set. And yeah, like what I do is I special summon this in defense mode. They pop it, and then I pop the other card, so the only card left is going to be one more attack, and then you can find a way to get rid of it. Skill Drain stops all the effects of all the monsters on the field, including your own, and you use this in combination with Circle and Eternal. You can win the game. If you don't want them to blow it away, then make sure you have either the right hand or Navigation in the graveyard. That way, if they try to activate their cards, you can negate it. So they're just wasting your time. Or you can have no, that's the right way. If you want to add Village, you can add Village here. This one's just a budget, and I don't want to include it. Navigations, you can either get a Dark Magic attack or 1,000 Knives, but the Dark Magic attack is preferable. And you can just blow up your opponent's spell and traps in the back. And then it can also special summon a Dark Magician from your hand or your graveyard. And then from the extra deck, you have Dragon Knight. So this one protects all your spells and traps. And then this one is just, like I was talking about, made with the Secrets of Dark Magic. And every time a spell and trap only once per turn is played, you can draw a card. If it's a trap, you can set it straight up and it'll be active. That's so broken. Like you can draw a Skill Drain, set it, and it'll trigger. So cool. You don't have to wait a turn. And then if it's destroyed, it has what they call a floating effect that special summons a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from everywhere except your banished, except the banished, the banished section. There it won't, but if it's in your hand, deck, or graveyard, it will. And then these are super poly materials, 2 dark. This one's 1 fusion, 1 dark. And then this one is 2 monsters with the same type and attribute, but different names, which is mainly all the decks kind of do that. And then here's a budget. It's about $1 or $2. Phantom, Mega Phantom Beast Draco Sack. So this one with the 2 Dark Magician, you go into it and then it just activates. You discard material from it and it makes tokens, and then you can use the tokens to pop cards on the field. You can also pop itself to pop a card, even skill drain, so it's pretty cool. People don't even know that, and that's just the basic. And then here's an Omni Negate for spells and traps. You make it with 2 level 6, usually a Princess Illusion or the Dark Magician Girl. And basically, if you read his effect here, it does tell you once per turn you can negate 1 spell or 1 trap. He's a 2,700 hitter. So when you have this with Navigation, Dark Magician, and the right hand, basically it's the same thing like Village. And you might feel like, well, I don't want to play all those cards, I just want to get Village. Well, then you're gonna have to explain what happens when what happens when you can't search it, because you don't have a lot of cards to search it. Some people will put like a bunch of terraformings, a bunch of the Village, but the problem with that is if you do that, sometimes they might get rid of your spellcasters. You can't play spells, and then sometimes your opponent might be playing a spellcaster deck, and then Village is dead. But with these cards, it doesn't matter if they play a spellcaster or not; they're gonna be negated. And then here is Blackluster Soldier of Chaos. This card was like 150 for the longest, and then 80, and then 55, like that. And then it finally became $2-3. Nobody wanted it. It's going up in price. So yeah, this is the one you're gonna want to use. And then you have Celine, Queen, the Master Magicians. This one is made with three monsters, and then you can special summon from the graveyard. Depending on how many spells in your graveyard, it gives you counters. And then Nightmare Phoenix. This one you make it with any two effect monsters, I believe, different with different names. Oh, okay, 2 monsters with different names. Then at the moment you special summon it, it can pop a spell trap on the field. Then you have Crawly for the Crawly engine. You make it with 2 spellcasters. That's so easy to do. You can also, there's so many cool ways you can do it, man, for real. Like you can normal rod, they negate, and then you can activate another effect, they negate, and then you just make them go Crawly draw. It's so cool. And then Induct, this one is to go into Dragon Knight. You could just, or with the Circle Eternal effect, by sending Dark Magician like that, because it sends Dark Magician in the graveyard and it links into it. And if you have Dark Magician and that one is a dragon, it can, you don't have to wait for your dragons to go into it. You could just do it from there. And then this one is help for the Bestial. It just goes into any spellcaster, level 4 or lower. Usually people like to do the Rod combo. I like to do the Rod combo, and then I'll trigger the effect of Eternal, activate the effect of Rod, get rid of Moon Maiden, it goes to the graveyard, get Rod to your hand, and then when they try to do something, like if they pop the Eternal or they try to attack you, you chain block with the Bestial by removing Artemis. So Artemis now has a purpose. Sending Rod to the graveyard is trash, but now that you can use her, now it's broken. You can use her now. And Relinquished Anima. So Relinquished Anima absorbs. You can make it with the level 1 monster, which is, if you have the top tier version of the deck or the expensive version, all the Magician Souls do it, but on this one you just have Jester. I didn't want to add 2, so this is fine. And that's pretty much it. That's the whole deck. Hopefully you like it. Yeah, so this video was for people who are new to Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. Then I'm going to be showing you gameplay. This video is going to be posted to a link of 2 different new Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. I think one of them had like 3 subscribers, another one I think it had like 28 or 30 subscribers, I'm not sure, but he was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For the first time. I think he had like a starter deck. But yeah, this deck's for you guys and anybody else who's starting in Yu-Gi-Oh! You want to see what Dark Magician can do. I'm going to be making a video showing you what it can do. It's going to be the same budget deck. It's pretty broken. And with that having been said, you guys, God bless, take care, stay cool, and Dark Magic attack.